culture has become much more diverse, and we see the nations that are here. God bringing the nations, in my opinion, is for one of two reasons. One, we see that many of them coming are Christians, and they're actually renewing many churches. But we also see there's an opportunity to reach, and yet we see that the political part can get in the way of that witness as we're interacting and trying to cross these borders. Do you have any thoughts on that? Just politically, what does our stance do? I mean, you've already mentioned the public nature of witness, but even in the cross-cultural ethnic separations that we see, how do we then help cross those borders and help other people that are of our own ethnic persuasion to see that the mission actually exceeds that the political difference that's there? You have any thoughts on that? I know that's not in your wheelhouse per se. You're not a missiologist, but I'm just curious if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a nice way to think about it, and I'm not sure that well, I'm sure they're not particularly profound. I don't know how helpful they are. What resonated with me is one is, I think that notion of breaking down the barriers is such a profound one. That really was what Jesus was doing, and Paul uses the language of breaking down the barriers, the cultural barriers, and so forth. That's one of the reasons why, to me, the whole concept of Christian nationalism, at least in its more toxic form, is such an anathema to Christianity, and certainly New Testament Christianity, because that was really what Jesus was pushing against. It was this notion of nationalism and identification through through culture or through other things, and it was the notion of breaking down the dividing walls among us. So, when I think about Christian nationalists, my response is you could hardly think of a figure that would be more against Christian nationalism than Jesus, based on his ministry. But there's so much to learn from people of different cultures and experiences. We all come at things with a certain angle of vision, and there's just no way that we have the capacity to see truth and reality and events in their full scope. And so what you need is you need to be in community and conversations with people who see things different than you. And it may be political, it may be cultural, it may be ethnic or something else. But hopefully a lot of listeners on your show could be able to mention experiences that they've had where they've talked to somebody with a different culture, really a profoundly different life experience, and they begin to talk about how they see certain things. And then you begin both to understand why they see the world the way they do, given their experiences. And then you will hopefully also refine and recalibrate maybe your own views in light of what you learn. So that notion of being in the midst of people of different nations, nationalities, ethnicities, and cultures, I think can be a profound one.